There's an old quote. If you love your dream of the church more than you love the church, you are an enemy of the church. If you love your dream, what you want the church to be, instead of loving the church as it is right now, then you are an enemy of the church. This has huge ramifications. If you love your dream for someone more than you love that person, you are an enemy of that person. If you love your dream for yourself more than you love yourself, you are an enemy of yourself. It's not that we don't have wishes or dreams. I'm not saying that. It's just that sometimes our dreams are flat out wrong. We are called to love someone, the church, for who they are first in our life. And I think about it when it comes to this story. I thought of this because of the story of the gospel, of course. What is going on? We have one of these stories again where, if you haven't heard these before, we have these puzzling stories that Jesus heals somebody and then he tells them not to say anything to anybody else. Here he cures a leper and he pulls him aside and sternly tells him, do not tell anybody. And why does he do that? And of course these people, what do? Every time they go out and they tell the whole town. They tell everybody. You know? Why is it that Jesus does that? Because he knows that the people had different expectations of what they wanted Jesus to be. They wanted Jesus to be this king of Israel right now. And they wanted him to be this military king that was going to wipe out all the enemies, put them at the feet of Israel, and make Israel the greatest nation in the world. But that's not the kind of Messiah that Jesus is. The people's dream for Jesus, they loved their dream of Jesus more than they loved Jesus for who he was. And in the process, you know what happened? They ended up pushing him away. He couldn't go into any town because of that, because they just couldn't accept him for who he was, the kind of Messiah that he was. How often do we do this in our own life? Do we do this with our spouse? We love our dream of our spouse more than we love our spouse themselves. We do that. What most people think, psychologically, we want our spouses to be our mother or our father instead of loving them for who they are. And we wonder why it seems like we're heading towards divorce. Or how about when it comes to our parents, loving our parents? We want our parents to be perfect. And I'm not saying that we don't reflect on how we grew up and what we learned and what we didn't learn. But eventually, you can't live with that bitterness. It's not helpful. The challenge is to love our parents for who they are, forgive, and accept them that there is no perfect father or mother, is there? No, there is not. To love them imperfectly as they are. Or how about when it comes to our children? Are we still holding on to those dreams that we wanted when we were their age? Are we forcing that upon them? We wonder why. One sure thing to push them away is to do that to them. We end up suffocating them. Or when it comes to people with different politics, we want them to think the way we think, and in the process, we push them away. Or how about when it comes to ourselves? We love our dream of ourselves more than we love ourselves, and so it's no wonder why we're so unhappy. Today is Valentine's Day, and I can't think of a greater gift to give ourselves than to love ourselves for who we are. Can you think of a greater gift than to love your spouse for the way they are? I'm not saying in all these things that we condone people's certain behaviors of people, but first we got to love them where they're at. To love our spouse. Finally give up on what we're trying to do to them. Love them for who they are. Or when it when it comes to our children, to love them for who they are. It's so freeing not to put certain expectations. Who knows what they could be if they were given that type of love? Or the challenge to love our church, love the people of the church as they are. Not saying that we're perfect. We're saints and sinners. But the challenge to love the church more than our dream. I think about that, and I was reading this week, and I was reading, I never really thought about this, that outside of the government, we are the largest organization when it comes to social services. Times we forget about how wonderful our church is. Will we free the people around us?